We're learning the second Sikha on Parshas Tazria in Chelek Chav Zayin on page 88. The shir today is being learned Lil Nishmas Rabbi Yosef ben Yamin ben Rab Menashe Koltman. Benigeya Tumas Negoyim Zenefaran Tzvei Klolos de Gedinim. Regarding the halachas of Tumah, impurity of the Negoyim that it speaks about in this week's Parsha, there are two general halachas. Aleph, the first is the Re'iyas HaNega, looking and observing to analyze this nega, if to is a nega tomei or nit, to establish whether this is a nega that is tomei or not. This has to be through someone that's wise and knows the halachas. Rabbi, his teacher teaches him the details. He's proficient with all the different shades and colors of negayim, their names. Benigay Yadam Kulam, all the different kinds of negayim that are by a human being, ubenigay begadim, in garments, ubenigay batim, regarding houses. Und der Chacham muss nicht sein dafka kayin. This Chacham does not have to be a kayin, nor hakayel ksherin lirisas negayim. Anybody in Klal Yisrael that's a Chacham is fit to see the nega, if whether it's tummy or not. Beis, but then a second halacha is hatume v'hatare tluya b'kayin. The actual status of impurity or purity, that depends on the kain. Which means, even after the Chacham says that this is a nega which is tamei, the one that has the nega does not become tamei till the kain establishes and says that he's tamei. Similar is also regarding purifying him, as a filav in the mensch oder the beged wird ausgeheilt von der nega. Even if the person or the garment is healed from this nega, bleibt betumasai, he remains in the status of tumah ad sheyemel kayin toirata, until the kayin will say that he is pure. Das was the amire von a kayin is atnaili kuve, the fact that it's the kayin statement, which is a condition. And this is the only way that it's a shafen the chalais satum v'atare that creates the status of him being pure or impure is ba'ifin. This is to the extent as afila kayin she'eni yedei liros, even a kayin that can't see properly. Unafile hoya kayin katan leishaita, or even in a case where it's a kayin that's a child, or doesn't have his mind with him, is a saimech al divrei chacham. He relies on what the chacham says. A chacham reyeyu. The Chacham sees and analyzes the nega, and then the Chacham says to the Kayin, Emayr Tamei, you announce and say that he's Tamei, V'hakayin Aymer Tamei, and the Kayin then says Tamei, and then Emayr Tair, and the same, similar, or the Kayin, the Chacham tells the Kayin, say Tair, and only what the Kayin says, that's what the status will be. So this requires explanation. Aleph, Vibal the Kayin is Saivi Zimech Al Divrei Chacham. If the Kayin here is anyways relying on what the Chacham tells him, was is negeya amiras HaKayin dafke? Why is it relevant to have the Kayin statement? He's just saying what the Chacham is telling him. Beis, was is that inyan miyuchad in tumas tzeras? What's unique about this impurity by a tzeras was dafke by der tume zoktan teire azah chidish azah tume v'hatare tluye b'kayin. That it's only by this tumah that the Torah says this novelty, that the impurity or purity all depends on the kain. Even though this is something that is a decree that the pasuk says, which doesn't necessarily have an explanation, it's well known what the Rambam says as afila by chukei Torah, even by the mitzvahs, which is a chayk, was gzeira saying they are a decree that has no reason. Is royal is bain bam. It's the right thing to still look deeper into them. And if there's an explanation that you can give, so give an explanation for this. Especially to give a reason that could explain, to help us understand that the Torah here is giving us a way how to purify and elevate ourselves. As the Rambam there says, as reiv dinei Torah einan ele eitzais l'saken adeyis l'yasher kol hamaisim. That the halachas of Torah are the advice of Torah, how one can rectify, or purify, or elevate himself and straighten his actions. Or to use the expression that the pasuk says, "Vayitzavenu avaya lases es kol hachukim ha'ela liyira es Hashem." Ahira and aninyan for yiras shemayim. That all the mitzvahs of the Torah is all to bring one to have yiras shemayim, fear of heaven. So, what is the significance of this point here that we could learn out from this, that it's dafke the kayin that will establish the status of the nega that it's tummy. Now the ikir chiddush HaTorah as a tumah v'hatara tluya b'kayin. Where's the main novelty of the Torah? That the impurity and purity all depends on the kayin. Drikt zechais bepashtos nit in taras hamitzayre nor beikir in them was is mitami. So it's simply not in the fact that the kayin is the one that could purify this yid when he has the healing of his nega, but actually it's in the fact that the kayin is the one that establishes that he's tummy. Warum? Because the Mitzias von Taras HaMetzayre can come in erst nachdem, wie es früher gewesen, Tumas HaMetzayre. The whole existence of purifying this Metzayre obviously is only after it's established first that he's tummy. Is the Rebbe mistavet zu sagen, therefore it's logical to say, as das was Taras Tzaras, is tluye b'kayin, the fact that to purify him, it depends on the kayin, is a mesuviv, the phone was Thomas Metzayre, is tluye b'kayin. It's all an outcome of the main point here, which is the fact that his impurity all depends on the kayin. Now says, meaning, vibal di tumme shaft sich na durch amiris hakayin, since the impurity is created only by the statement of the kayin, the Rebbe darf euch die Taref von der tumme aufgetan werden, darf durch der amiris shel kayin. So therefore, the purity as well has to be created only through the statement of the kayin. But the main chiddush here is that the kayin is the one that's metame the mitzayre. So now based on this, wird noch schwerer zu verstehen, it becomes even more difficult to understand why the kayin. It would be well understood if the main novelty here of the Torah is that it's the kayin that is the one that's mitayir him. We would understand why this is something that depends on a kayin. Because the concept of being a kayin is connected to the condition of purity. Wie der Din as a kayin tar sich nit mitame sein. As the halach is that a kayin may not impurify himself. He has to serve in the Beis HaMikdash. The far zene kayinim di welche zene mashpia tar tziden. And therefore the kayinim are the ones that also provide and give and are a source of tara for the rest of Yidden. Aber was soll dafka a kayin sein der was peilt as the Yid soll sein Tomei? Why would the kayin be the one, the source that he creates the status of tumah for a yid? That's the question there. So we can say one of the explanations for this is as follows: By tumas mitzayre gefindt men a chumre, was is nita by andere tumas. Regarding the tumah of the mitzayre, the level and the status of the tumah of this mitzayre, we find the stringency that does not apply by any other levels of tumah. And that is Badod Yeshev Mechutz Lamachna, that the Mitzayre has to sit completely secluded, alone, outside of the camp. Mechutz Lamachna Meshavei. Evet Ariz Geshik Mechutz Legimel Machnes. He's sent out from all three camps of where Yidden are. Or in Dem Gufa, and there as well, Badod Yeshev, which means Shalayu Shart Mem Yeshvim Ima. He has to be completely secluded, not sitting together with any of other Mitzayram that are there as well. V'hainu, as the art von a mitzayre is a filim mechutz lamachne von andere tmeim. He has to be outside of any camp, together with any other yid, even together with other tmeim as well. Und das ist euch der teichen ruchni von tumas tzaras. This is also the spiritual content of this level of tumas tzaras. A tume chamura kolkach. This is such a high level of tume. Durch welche der Adam atome is in ganzen Oster der machne de kedusha. The person that has such a status of tume is taken out completely of the camp of holiness. Wird ki'ilu ausgeschlossen, Rachmana litzlan, von sein Sheiches zu Yisrael Goy Kodesh. To the point that he becomes as if locked out, God forbid, from his connection to the Yidden, to the holy nation. That's the level of tumah of the mitzaras, of the mitzayre, and the tzaras. And if them zog Teire, it's regarding this that the Teire comes and tells us, as wer ken paskenen auf a zweiten Yiden, as is ki'ilu ausgeschlossen chas v'sholem von machne de kedusha. Who is it that could give such a ruling regarding another Yid, that he's as if, God forbid, locked out from the camp of holiness? Blois a kayin. That's only the kayin. Why is this? A kayin is in Yonoi levarech es Am Yisrael ba'ava. His whole inyan, his whole focus is to bench Yidden with love. A kayin is the Isha Chesed. It says about the kayin that he's the man of kindness. Was benched Yidden, and he blesses Yidden. Ba'ava, and he blesses with love. And this is a main idea. Ki yidua is it's known as this is a Tnai Ikri in Birchas Kayanim. This is a fundamental condition regarding benching in Birchas Kayanim, as it's Muzayim Ba'ava, that it must be with love. And if this felt chas v'shalom beim kayanim mevarech, and if the love is lacking when he benches Yidden, is this ferim asakana. This could be dangerous for the kayan himself. On take, a high time was the kayan is isha chesed, because the kayan is this man of kindness and love. Falasich teire narefim, the teire relies only on the kayan of hareisegeben of Eden azap sak from uchutz lamachna mishavei. That only the kayan that has this level of love do we rely on him to give such a ruling about a Yid that he has to be outside of the place of all of Klal Yisrael. The Hemshech HaKosev, based on this we can understand the Psukim in Parshas Shoftim, where there it says that the HaKayanim bam bachar avay lekechel l'sharsai or levarech b'shem Hashem, the Kayanim bench val piyem yeh kol riv v'chol nega. And then the Pasuk concludes that according to their words, the every riv and a nega, the nega is determined by their word. Why does it bring the two together? And that is dafke mitzadem was bam bachar Hashem luvarech b'shem Hashem, because they're the ones that Hashem chooses to bench Yidden. Therefore, v'al piyem yeh kol nega. This is the reason why the kain is relied upon to give such a psak that's only coming from a place of love and kindness, to say that he belongs to be outside the machna. Now the Rabbi clarifies, based on what we learned in the beginning here, the first halacha, that the chacham is the one that analyzes the actual nega. Avade on avade, most definitely, muz the psak from kain zayin miyusid blaze of Torah. The ruling of the kain has to be based only on what the halachas of Torah are. Was the fahren therefore is l'chol reish muzayin di ri'iyas hanega durach hachacham v'chachmas haTorah umbaki b'chol hanegayim cholo. So first, one that is proficient in the colors of the nega and knows all the halachas, the chacham has to take a look at the nega. On the tzuna chazach chacham was satas mekabel gevem mipi Rabbi. Here the Rambam adds specifically that this has to be a chacham that gets the tradition or the teaching from his Rebbe to know exactly all the colors about the nega. Then es kommt aber however, when it comes to actually creating the status, when it comes to the ruling in actuality, that must be done only through the kindness of the kain. It's only the kain that feels the full severity of such a kind of ruling regarding another Yid. He won't spare any effort. And he will ask the chacham, he will interrogate him and ask him about this matter. Regarding this psak din that this Yid would be tamei, and he'll remind him that when you judge another Yid, that you have to do whatever is possible to save him and to find a merit for this Yid. This idea here, that on one hand we're using the chachma of the chacham, but when it comes to the psak din b'payil, we're relying only on the kayin. This is similar to what it says in other places in the minyan von ein chacham kebal anisayin. There's no one that's as wise as one which is a man of experience in practice. As b'shas melanet aninyan, when you learn a subject, wissendig, as von der shakel v'tarye v'tarizkum and ahira psak din l'maiseh, you're not just learning it as a subject of learning, but you're learning it for the sake of actually knowing what the halacha is, b'payil. Is mezichendem ma'imik mitayigi yiseire. So here, a person will learn this on a much deeper level with a much greater effort, bis men de gruntevitzech zu mamitis inyan, until you'll get to the bottom and to the truth of the matter to make sure that you got it right. And therefore, that applies dafka to the kayin here, that is paskening b'payil regarding the status of this Yid. Und as noch zan yigie v'chakire udrisha. And if after all the effort and all the interrogations on this matter is their kayin, isha chesed, machlet and zak tameh, and now the kayin, which is the man of kindness, comes to the decision that he has to say that and he says that he's tameh, that is menzicher. Only then can we be sure, as this is the psak din amiti von Torah, that this is the correct and true psak din of Torah. Uleidach, and on the other hand, is membatuach. We're also guaranteed as the kayin v'tzacharayin and then b'chol yecholte, that the kayin will invest himself in this matter as much as possible, as the nach zal zayin taras ha-mitzayre, that to come and purify this mitzayre, and therefore it's the kayin that goes out and is mitayr this yid, and only with his word does he become tahir. Therefore is the hayra brura. From this we have the very clear lesson. When you see something negative, God forbid, by another Yid, to the point that it would seem that this Yid fell to such a low place, bis as hoitzi es atzmait min haklal, that this Yid completely excludes himself, he took himself out of the klal of Klal Yisrael. As chas v'sholom nitroy to zayin b'toich machne Yisrael. It, God forbid, seems that he's not fit to be amongst the camp of Yidden. Zog Teire, so here Teire comes and teaches us, as afil chacham gadol uvbaki b'chol ha-Teire kula, even a very wise man, proficient in all of Teire, unlike zayin shikol adas and chachmas ha-Teire, and according to his understanding and weighing the matter, according to the wisdom of Teire, is yener roid some sak fon b'chutz lamachna meishavai. So this Yid it's befitting to paskin that he should be outside of Klal Yisrael. Is Eider and Gitareis azab sakev at zweiten Yiden, before he rules this way regarding another Yid, darfen sich frie gut beichen sein, wo me halten the middle von Chesed and Ahavas Yisrael. One should look at himself and ask himself, where am I standing in my level of kindness and love for another Yid? A noibes felt chas v'shalom in Ahavas Yisrael amitis, and if he's lacking, God forbid, in true, genuine Ahavas Yisrael, hat nicht kein Recht zu herausgeben auf seine Psake für zweiten Yidden. He has no right to rule this way for another Yid. Es kann sein, als ein Psak stammt nicht von reinem Shikol Adas shel Teire. It's possible that his ruling does not come from the pure weighing of this matter according to what Teire wants, nor from midis biltim uvuraris choler. Rather, it could be from a unrefined character that's leading him to this conclusion. Teire sagt, the Teire teaches us, as der nega allein schafft nicht die Tumme. The fact that he has a nega, that a Yid has a blemish or something that's negative about him, that does not cause this level of impurity that he's excluded. Nor the psak va'amiris hakayin ish hachesed tomeyata. It's only the ruling of the kayin, and when the kayin states, and the kayin, which is a man of kindness, says that he's tamei, poiled as the mitzayre zal zayin tamei. Only that could bring and affect this level of tumah for the mitzayre. So and what this means is, as there was is nit kein kain, one that's not a kain, and isha chesed, not a man of kindness, paskint if a zweiten Yidden bechutz lamachna meishavai, and still he goes ahead and rules in another Yid that he belongs outside the machna, zok sheker. What he's saying is not true. It's a lie, because he's not a kain. He could not establish this status. Ubemele is our mitzayre. So then actually this one, the chacham that says this about another Yid, he becomes a mitzayre. And what does the word mitzayre here mean? Maitzi, shame, ra. He's saying giving a bad name and saying something that's not true about another Yid. K'mayme chazal ala pasik, zayis tiyeh, teiris ha-mitzayre, as it says in the Medrash, the pasuk in the beginning of the parsha, when it says zayis tiyeh, teiris ha-mitzayre, that zayis tiyeh teirasai shel maitzi shemra. This is the halacha of the one that's maitzi shemra. Now, Moitzi Shemra here means not only is he speaking negatively about another Yid. Was Lashon Hara is afapi sha'omer emes. Lashon Hara is even if you say truth about another Yid. Was them is the einish for negayim tzaras, and the punishment for saying Lashon Hara is that one becomes a mitzayre. So therefore, one that speaks negatively about another Yid, and he doesn't wait to have the ruling of the kayin. So then this one that's speaking this, becomes a mitzayre, not as maitzi shemra, oimer sheker al chaveder. What he's saying is not true. It's a lie, because if he's not the ish chesed, he cannot create this status of mitzayre, of tumah on another Yid. Omai takante. What is the way that a person should fix this kind of behavior? Badad yeshev mechutz lamachne meishavai. He has to be secluded and sit alone outside of the machne where other Yidden are. And that means, bisvanent wird sich nicht eingeweinen, zu gucken auf der zweiten Yidden be'ayin taiva, until he will not get used to the fact that he looks at another Yid only with a good eye. Darf sich mavdel sein von anderen Yidden. He has to separate himself from other Yidden, und nicht stören sie mit seiner Lashon Hara red und Eitzah Shemra, and not disturb other Yidden with his Lashon Hara or saying things that are not true about another Yid. When he will heal himself from this nega, which is speaking negatively about other Yidden and not looking at himself first, at his own character, whether it's refined or not, then is Bishav Virafalei. He will be healed, and then he can come back into the Machne. Von Ahavas Yisrael amitis, through this kind of behavior, with true genuine Ahavas Yisrael, and an eifem von Ahavas Chinam, to have baseless love for any Yid, is das mevatel sibas sinas chinam hagalas. This will nullify the cause of the galus, which is baseless hatred, shenikra hatzarua, the galus which is also referred to as a time period of tzarua, of tzaras, kommt b'derech memele u'miyad. So as a result, and immediately comes the Gula Mitzvah Shleima Yedei Mashiach Tzidkenu u'b'mehera v'yameinu mamish.